Since a lot of new students have joined, I feel like we need to start over again. Bear in mind. So my name is Rahul and I am going to be an event coordinator for Hackathon 2024. Alright, this is a 2-day event and the first day is all about development, the second day is all about presentation. Right, so there are a couple of things that you guys need to keep in mind while developing your problem statement, developing a solution. And the first is evaluation criteria. By discussing the evaluation criteria, you guys will be familiar with what you should prioritize first and what you should keep it as a second thing, right? What could be a nice to have, what could basically enhance your product so that it better suits the, it gives your product appeal to the judges, whoever will be judging your presentation, right? So if you move on. Now, this is the most important thing that you guys need to keep in mind, the logic. Whatever problem you decide to make your app for, it should solve that problem, right? We as judges care about that your website works, that the problem that was designed for, it actually solves that problem, right? And the second is lighthouse report. Now, out of everyone, who is familiar with what is a lighthouse report? Anyone? You guys are familiar with what is a lighthouse report? No? When we right click on a website, we click on inspect, every website has an option to generate a lighthouse report. And what that lighthouse report does is, it gives the performance, the accessibility and the SEO of that website. How good does that website performs on all these metrics? Right? A good website should have particularly should have a high 90 plus score on all these parameters. It should perform well on performance, on accessibility, on SEO as well as best practices. So whatever web app you make, it should score well and it would be just based on these scores and these metrics. Right? Design. Now this is not 2010, right? Even though you guys are free to use any component library, you are free to use Bootstrap even, but that design is a bit outdated, to be honest. If you want to make an app in 2024, you want to make a website in 2024-5, and actually make some money with it, the design should be well suited for modern needs. Right? Make sure that your app works and it looks best. Right? Now if we discuss the nice to have, you should keep this as a secondary thing. Right? It's not important that you guys implement this, but if you do implement this, it will be a plus point. Right? Every modern website has animations. Right? If you guys can implement animations using any library and it is eye-catching, it keeps the user stay on your website, it makes the users, it makes the overall website more fun, implementing animations, no matter what type it is. So if you do decide to implement it and it is successful, so you will sure get plus points for it. Multiple themes. Each and every modern website has multiple themes. Right? Users have the option to choose between light mode and dark mode. Right? Even though in some extreme cases, if you guys know about Twitter has the option you can customize the entire theme by yourself. You can change the font sizes, you can change the button colors, the accent colors, right? So if you guys are able to implement this on your own website, then it is definitely a plus point. Alright? And like I said, user customization. This is exactly forwarding on with what I just said. If your website can enable the users to customize it to whatever they like, whatever their needs, their preferences are, then it is always a plus point. Right? Before we discuss the problem statements, if you guys have any doubts related to what was discussed, then now would be the perfect time. Because we will be starting with the development stage and you guys only have 24 hours to develop solutions. So if you guys have any doubts related to what you need to do, how you are supposed to behave, anything at all. You guys are free to use the internet, you guys are free to use whatever language, framework, tools, third-party libraries, third-party plugins, APIs, you guys are free to use whatever you like. But at the end of the day, your solution should work and it should solve the problem. So I would encourage one member of each team to take his or her notebook out. Like, even though you have been given like detailed problems sheets, right? You have been given it if you look in the papers. I would encourage each and every one of you to take your notebook out. Whatever I say from this moment forward, it is you don't understand it or it is very important, feel free to write it down and contact me afterwards, or feel free to ask a question right after the presentation. Alright, so moving on, I'm sure you guys know that you guys will be given 4 problem statements for this hackathon, right? And you guys are free to choose any one problem statement you are comfortable working with, right? I'll be discussing each and every one of these problem statements in detail, what is expected of you, even though you have been given a detailed question sheet. So the first is an all-in-one social media app. We use social media for different reasons, right? We use LinkedIn when we want to connect, look for a job, or we want to connect with the fellow employers or employees, right? We use Pinterest when we want to get a new idea based on something. If you want to, get a new idea. We use Instagram when we want to connect with our friends, when we want to post where we are traveling, what we are doing. We use Snapchat when we want to send a one-time streak to our friends, discussing what we ate today. Right? That's the main concept. What if instead of juggling these apps, opening one at a time for different reasons, we could have an everything app, right? As Elon Musk says, he wants to make Twitter an everything app, you might know. What if we right now could make an everything app that has all the features of LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp on one single app? An app that allows us to post tweets, an app that allows us to call someone, an app that allows us to text someone, or even video call someone, an app that allows us to look for jobs if we need to, an app that allows us to send payments if we need to. What if we have an everything app? Right? I know this sounds a little bit intimidating, implementing all these features in one single app in 24 hours, but if you do decide to implement it, it will be one of the best things for you. And out of all the 4 problem statements, this is by far the most simple and straightforward problem statement that you will encounter. So if you do decide to solve this, on the surface it may look a bit difficult, but when you try to implement it, it is quite the most easiest problem out of the 4. Right? And you guys have any doubts related to this problem statement, what you are expected to do. Right? Your front end should be appealing, the user should be able to create their own accounts, users should be able to customize their accounts, add a bio, whatever they need, whatever they might require, as it is in traditional social media apps. Any doubts? No? Moving on.
Excuse me. Is it possible to create such thing in 24 hours only?
Why not? I've done it myself.
Like payment system?
Payment system, you guys can move on. I understand the complexities of a payment system, but other than that, implementing a user creation, authentication, authorization, posting tweets, posting comments, bookmark system, the like system, following someone, it could be done in 24 hours. You guys have until this time next day.
Backend can be.
Like I said, you're free to use any database, SQL, NoSQL, MongoDB, whatever you like.
Backend can be combined in 24 hours.
It can be done. And keep in mind, your app must be deployed in order to be considered for presentation. Whatever you have made, regardless of whether it is complete or not, it should be deployed. Once we check here, your app should be deployed. We should have a link for an app. Right? Platform for storytellers. Now, this one is by far the most unique problem, the best problem, I guess, that you guys can solve if you do decide to solve it. I'm sure you guys are familiar with series like Harry Potter and Game of Thrones. Some of you are, I'm sure. In those series, it is very hard to keep track of the different families. In Game of Thrones, we have 7 families. In Harry Potter, we have so many different houses, right? Each houses have different characters, and each of these characters have conflicting family trees, right? Intertwining family trees. Each of these characters have their own unique features, right? Their own unique personality. And each of these characters have different purpose in the overall story, right? As a budding author, if I am an author, I'm just starting out, I want to make my own story, I want to make my own film, I want to write my own book, right? I want to have a platform where I can keep track of what I'm doing, how many characters I need, what is the family tree of my character, generations of family trees. Game of Thrones have generations of family trees, if you're familiar, right? What if I have a website that simplifies the whole process for me? By using drag and drop features, I can create such a website that allows an author to write characters, to create characters, write different personality traits for that characters In data structures, we have trees, right? We have trees and graphs. What if a tree-like structure can be made for a family tree of a character, right? Visually, drag and drop. Right? This is by far the most unique problem that you guys will solve. And I don't think if you do like implement a successful version of it, it is a good portfolio project. Right? So if you do decide to solve it, make sure that you add real-time collaboration. If let's say two authors want to make a single story, want to write a single book, I want to be able to collab a real-time collaboration with my friend, so that he and I can, that person and I, we can make the story collectively. Right? I know it sounds a bit intimidating, but it can be done. Using something like WebSockets or Socket.io, it can be done, real-time collaboration. Right? Implementing version control. Let's say I want to move back. My story is done, but I want to go back and change something. Right? I want to keep track of my history. Whatever I have done, whatever changes I made, there must be some way that I can keep track of what I have done till now. Alright, I guess this problem statement is clear. If you do, any of you who are planning to solve it, who think this is a good problem, and if you have some doubts now, regarding this problem. Anyone? No doubts? Can we move on? Third one. Third one is immersive virtual event platform. When let's say we have a conference, right? In 2020 we used to have online classes, right? You and I, we used to go to Google Meet or Zoom, and we used to attend those online classes. But those online classes, those video platforms seem a bit stale, right? They seem a bit boring. Because the only thing that you can do, right? The only thing you can do is talk with your friend, your teacher, whoever it is, on video, right? It is not as interactive as it can be or as it should be, right? To make the overall process enjoyable. So what this question aims to do is, what this problem provides you to do is, make video calls interactive, make video calls enjoyable. Right? What can we do so that our video calls is enjoyable? We can interact with other people. Some of the ways that I can think we can do this by having polls, by having quizzes, by having a whiteboard. Even Google Meet has a whiteboard, right? We can Jamboard, we can write stuff on it, similar to a blackboard. What if you can implement such features that makes it more fun to be a part of an online event? Let's say I'm hosting a musical fest, right? I want to connect with my fellow team members. How can I do that? I can't do that in the traditional, in a Google Meet right now. Right? What if we have a tech meetup plan? We have an online tech meetup. A tech meetup is all about networking, meeting with other people. Right? But if that tech meetup is online, how can I do that? Right? Hundreds of people are in the same video call. How can I connect with each and every one of them? How can I send my resumes to a potential recruiter on video call? Right? So that is what this problem is all about. Go beyond video calling. Take video calling to the next level. How we can act. If you guys know how to implement video calling, we can implement this using WebRTC, something like that. I've done it before, and I think it can be done pretty easily if you look at the documentation. Right? If you do decide to solve it, it is a good problem. I'll be there to help you guys. Right? You're free to use the internet, you're free to use any tutorial, but implementing a simple video call is easy. Making it interactive could be a little challenging. Right? Keep this in mind. Any problem, any doubts related to this problem? Anything you want to ask? Any doubts? No? So our fourth and final problem for this today is a construction management program. Now this may feel like a very simple problem, right? We all have healthcare management system, we have attendance record management system, college management system. We have all made this before at some point, right? But this one, the way we are expecting you to build this one is quite different, right? You may, on the surface, you may feel like this is a very easy problem, but what we expect of you in this problem is quite different. We want you to build this app from the perspective of three potential users. When you want to construct a building, there are always three main players in the building. One who is the owner of the entire project, who is financing the overall thing. The second one are the laborers, right? If I am a painter, I am an architect, or whoever I am, and I may be paid by the hour, $5 an hour, or I may be paid for the whole day, $20 a day, or I may be paid by the month, right? $100 per month for my work. In this website, I want to keep track of whatever I do. If I am a laborer, I want to keep track of how many hours I've worked, how much money I am owed, and how much money has my owner paid. That's what this website is all about. And the second person is the manager, the one who will actually assign roles. A painter has the role of painting. The architect for designing the overall layout of the building. Right? And the manager, the second person will be the manager who will be assigning roles to all these people. Right? It could be in a dashboard he can assign the roles to all these people, right? The third one is the owner. The owner is the one who has all the access, the editor access, the viewing access. And he is the one who can make all the changes. He is the one who can decide the rates. He is the one who can decide to operate his construction, whichever way. Right? There are three potential users for this: the laborers, the manager, the owner. So if you do decide to build this, the main feature you guys need to work on is authentication and authorization. Different rules for different people. You guys need to keep track of what money is owed to your laborers, your managers. Like I am a laborer, I am working $5 an hour, and I am working 10 hours. I am owed $50, right? At the end of the day, I need to keep track of how much money I am owed and how much money has been paid into my account. Okay? This one, I feel like it's quite easy. You can implement this, but make sure that your layout, your UI is visually appealing, and you guys implement animations. Right? Any doubts related to this problem? Construction management. No? Version control is quite similar to retaining history. I want to the owner should be able to know what payments he made, if any laborer left in between. Right? If I have 20 laborers at the start of my project, and at the end of the project I ended up employing 50 laborers. Right? The owner or manager should be able to retain laborers who are added at which point, how much money is owed, and how much money he paid. Right? That's the whole point. Retaining history is a crucial concept of any project. Task management, budget management is pretty clear. Right? Anything else that you might want to ask? Yeah. No? Alright. You guys are not allowed to use any CMS. Something like WordPress or Squarespace. But I feel like even if you do, you won't be able to solve these problems because those CMS only allow you to configure a static website. Right? I've done that before. Even if you do decide to use this, it won't be very fruitful, but you are not allowed to use it anyways. Right? Make sure that your websites are built using code. I'm reiterating, you guys are free to use whatever you like in terms of code, APIs, libraries, documentation, third-party plugins.